most about Balazs, and he's going to share his numbers today. And this is something that absolutely blew my mind. But just the heart of Balazs and the reason why he's doing what he's doing, he actually got introduced into a Nagic by his mum, but just the role model that he's setting for other men to follow. And that's something that why I put this call together, because we want to be able to raise the bar, raise the standards on, becoming a better brother, becoming a better father, becoming, a better husband and man within our community. So it's my absolutely honor and pleasure to introduce to you guys today, Balazs Kardos. Biggest welcome, brother.
Hey, what's going on? I'm so pumped for this call. It's been a little while since we've been trying to coordinate it. So thanks for being persistent, brother. I know why you're successful because you just don't give it up. And every time you reminded me, I uh, I always wanted to be here, so I wasn't dodging you or any of you. I want you guys to understand that it was just a timing thing. But we made it happen, and I'm so excited. I actually blocked off 2 hours for this call because I wanted to give you guys extra time after all the waiting. So if you guys have 2 hours to spend with me, then I'm gonna block off 2 hours, including some Q&A and all that good stuff. But I'm so proud of you. I'll always remember, man, when we first connected at that. It was like a scavenger hunt, and you connected, and you and your beautiful wife came up to me, and you're like, "Listen, man, you need to know us. We're going to the top. We'll do anything you say. We'll follow the plan. We'll trust the process. We're in it to win it." And I just remember that second, I was like, these guys are going all the way. And I've coached and mentored thousands of people, and I get that feeling every once in a while, but not with that many people. But you and your wife Danielle definitely have that secret sauce of just the right recipe for success. And look what you're creating, brother. And it's still just the start. So it's really, really exciting. I'm so proud of you guys. And I'm pumped to see a lot of faces that I've seen little glimpses of online in Facebook and the Facebook groups, a little bit on Instagram, social media. A lot of winners I see here, a lot of men stepping up and making moves. It's good to see you guys. I know some of you have hit big ranks, 4A, 6A, and crushing the business already. And some of you are brand new. So you're just kind of getting going and getting your feet on the ground and learning about this business model and lifestyle. So I'm excited to share this time with you guys, and just point me in the right direction of what you want me to focus on. I know we chatted briefly, but I have a few questions, and then we'll kind of dive right in and engage everybody on the call. And one last thing, like, this is a men's only call. So how many of you guys got any women like sneakily on here? All right. Let's get the sneaky women out of here, right? Because we're going to talk about some serious men stuff. And I don't want like the girlfriend off camera beside you listening, okay? So this is like a sacred space. So any ladies that are like kind of eavesdropping, bye-bye. This isn't for you. See you later. Um, your man will be a different man, okay? So just trust the process. He's going to be a different man after this call, but you're not allowed to listen because we're going to talk some man hardcore stuff today. All right. So bye-bye, ladies, including you, Danielle. I see her face. She's just like the admin on here. Sorry, I'll be the admin. All right, let's dive in. So where do you want me to start, brother? Is everybody here inside the business, or are there some people that are just checking it out?
Yeah, there's some people that are just checking out as well. So we have allowed some of the men to invite, some of their, other brothers as well to be able to tune in, to be able to listen to obviously your story, your numbers, and all that kind of good stuff as well. So we have opened it up. We want to have that abundant mindset, but we want you to, bring the fire. We don't want you to hold back. You're obviously always been to me the no BS guy. And I want you to share about your story, be a bit vulnerable there on how that kind of, came about. And then, just dive into some numbers and what's actually going on with the economy and how we can prepare ourselves and all of that kind of good stuff as well. So, mate, don't hold back. We're all men here. We want to step up, to the caliber that you've been able to set the bar. And let's dive straight in, brother.
All right, sounds good, guys. Well, a little bit about my background, just so everybody has the same information. For those of you who don't listen to my podcast, I know some of you do. I've shared a lot on there. We're getting close to 100 episodes, which is really, really cool. And getting a lot of people listening every single week. So a little bit about me. I was born in Hungary, Eastern Europe, when I was a little boy in 85, and I'm about to turn 39 years old. My parents wanted a better life for their family, and that didn't really exist in Europe back then at that time. So they looked at leaving to create a life of freedom and opportunity for their kids. And they basically left Hungary when I was a few years old, went to Germany. And long story short, my dad basically found a way through sheer determination and will to get sponsored into Canada. Because as a landed immigrant, you needed to have a sponsor. You couldn't just come to the country. So he actually cold called people in a phone book that had Hungarian last names because they're pretty distinct names. You can kind of recognize them easily. He literally cold called until there was a guy that he happened to catch at the right time who was willing to do a deed that could never be repaid. Can you imagine this? This guy literally had an intention to do a deed for a person or family that could never be repaid. And my dad happened to cold call him and he answered the phone. And then my dad's like, look, all I need you to do is sponsor me into the country and we'll never speak again. I don't need anything from you. And the guy's like, on one condition, you don't call me for money. You don't, keep hitting me up like I need this and I need that. It's a one-time offer and we're done. My dad's like, thank you, God. This is just all I needed. So the guy sponsored us into Canada. That's how our whole trajectory of our family completely changed because the opportunities that were available to us in Canada just did not exist in other parts of the world back then in 1991 when we got to Canada when I was 5.5 years old. So after that, there were things that caused a lot of friction in my family's marriage or my parents' marriage that ultimately led to them divorcing when I was 11. So from about age 5.5 to 11, we started to live this Canadian dream where we had credit cards and mortgage and a car payment. But my dad was very, very hardworking. He worked in construction. I know there's a lot of you guys on this call that maybe are in the trades or you're working with your hands, you're building mechanical stuff or in the oil trades or building homes or whatever, just like manly man shit, like you're really just the one who like puts it together, brute force, fixes it and gets paid for it. And there's been a lot of this stuff over the generations where like that's what men are considered to be. And I personally think that men are evolving now to be much more than only that. I think that we're going to talk about that more on this call, but that's all I saw my dad do. So he would come home tired, exhausted, working 12-hour days for not even that much money. Like he probably got paid between 20 and 30 bucks an hour. Mind you, with inflation and whatnot, this was a while back, like 30 years ago. But he didn't make that much money, but it was a soul sucking job. He had nothing left in the tank spiritually, emotionally, physically. He was done. Every single day, he was completely done. So he didn't have anything left to be a dad. He didn't have anything left to be a husband. And this is the example that I saw. And on one hand, I was proud of my dad because he was like taking care of his family and providing and stuff. But on the other hand, I was kind of heartbroken. I was like, where's my dad? He's never around. He's always too tired. He wouldn't keep his word. He'd say we go to the park, then he'd fall asleep on the couch and we wouldn't, end up going. We didn't take family trips or holidays. We didn't do none of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, at the same time, he was also empty when it came to his marriage with my mother. So as you can imagine, that's not going to last very long when there is no intimacy, there is no connection, there is no date nights, there isn't quality time with each other because they were just barely surviving, trying to they were sinking and like being buried alive every single day. And this went on for months and years. So I remember when I was little, I got my first piggy bank and I'd get a little bit of money for doing chores and this kind of stuff. My parents were fighting late at night and screaming at each other. And all I could really understand, because I was a kid, I didn't get all the details, but it was like, there's not enough money and you're never around. And, the bills are piling up and debt collectors are calling us and this kind of shit. And I remember my blood was boiling. I was so angry, so frustrated. I hated money so much. I was like, what the fuck is this money thing? And why is it ruining my life, ruining my family? And I couldn't sleep. And I was like putting the blanket over my head and I was like 10 years old. And then I snuck into the room with my little piggy bank that had like, I don't even know, like a little bit of money, maybe 50 bucks, 100 bucks, something like this. I put it on them with a thing and I was like, please just take this. Hopefully it helps. And this shit's pretty fucking sad. Like to feel in a position as a child to have to contribute your piggy bank to like make the fighting stop is not a healthy situation at all. And some of you may be related to similar upbringings in childhood. Maybe it's suppressed. Maybe you don't even know the trauma that you have from money, from marriage stuff with your parents when you were younger, or maybe you're experiencing the similar type of challenges right now, and that's why you're here, because you're tired of it and you don't want to lose your wife, you don't want to lose your kids, and you want to make a better life for your family. So as a young kid, I had this battle between hating money so much, but also having this ambition within myself to become successful. And as a kid, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't really know what success was. I just saw other families that seemed happier. I saw kids at the park that were playing and smiling and laughing. And I was like, what's the difference between them and me? What's the difference between their parents and my parents? And why can't I have that? And so I started getting these little glimpses of what was going on. And I realized very fast that money played a part. I didn't understand the big picture, but I knew that it was a part of the equation. So I started getting really curious and interested. What is this money thing, man? How can I crack the code? How can I actually live with more than enough to live the way that I actually want to live? Not settle, not make excuses, not tell my kids I can do one thing and then actually not follow through on any of my words, like no integrity. And it wasn't because my dad didn't love me. My dad loved me so much, but he just couldn't handle the burden of the stress, the anxiety, the physical demands. Like he is a man at the end of the day, and he was just drained every single day in a hard job. And not only that, but he was a contractor, so the money wasn't consistent. He would get 3 jobs at one time and then 0 jobs, and it was feast and famine, feast and famine. So the lack, the scarcity, the fear was ingrained in my DNA. Like I was pretty much always on edge that something was going to happen, right? I was never calm in my nervous system. I didn't experience peace. It was always pretty rough. And then they eventually ended up getting divorced. So now I'm like 11 years old. My dad's not around. My mom's actually working 3 jobs. She's barely around, and I end up becoming a father figure to my younger brother, David, who's an amazing guy. And I'm so grateful for our bond and our connection over all the shit we've been through over our lives. But he's 5.5 years younger than me. So at about age 11, 12, I'm now supposed to be the mature older brother when I'm not, like having to hit puberty kind of thing. And I'm taking care of my brother now. So my mom's not around. I'm cooking for my brother. I'm looking after him. We're watching shows and TVs and all this kind of stuff. And I remember one of the things that really changed my dynamic with him is that kids my age wouldn't bring their younger siblings around. Like if we went to hang out at the park, it'd always be like, stay home, like you're not old enough to hang out with us. And I
Oh,
remember
wow.
hanging out with some of my buddies, and I brought my little brother. I didn't really have a choice. I was like looking after him all the time. I brought him with me. And they're like, oh, we don't want these young kids around, whatever. And I just looked at all of them dead in the eyes. I'm like, watch your fucking mouth. This is my brother. He stays with me, and you better get used to it or I'm out. And they're all like, whoa, buddy, settle down. And they ended up becoming really close, like older brother type figures to my little brother. So my brother grew up really quickly. He matured really fast because he was kind of in that environment, and we were still kids. So this went on for a little bit. Then I was now the class clown in school. So I wasn't listening. I hated the whole structure of the schooling public education system. Many of you will relate to this. It never made sense to me, even at a young age. I'm like, why are we learning about this shit? I cannot see this helping me with my life anyway, absolutely at all. So I was rebellious to the point where I was bored. I didn't care. I wasn't interested in the subjects, and I just have fun. And once I got a little older, I was into chicks and sports and having a good time and those kinds of things. But it was because I was so depressed and so sad at home that I was trying to find that validation and love and acceptance and brotherhood and those kinds of things at school. So I got really good at sports, and I played all kinds of different sports growing up: basketball, track and field, football. I was pretty much in sports all the time, and that was my happy place. When I was competing, when I was having those epic comeback victories with my brothers on the team, and we had adversity and challenges and injuries and setbacks, and we came back and we won. Nothing was more exciting to me than that. I was like, this is it, man. This makes me feel like I'm coming alive. It was so good. And then all of a sudden I was trying to understand, what am I going to do for a career? What am I going to do when I quote unquote grow up? And all I knew was school, because my parents were like, no one's ever graduated from high school or college or university. So you got to be the first one. And there was a bit of pressure around that kind of stuff. And I was like, not really interested in that. And then alternatively, there was hard physical labor, construction, those kinds of things, trades that my dad did. So I saw that example. And on one hand, I was like, maybe if I get a head start at a young age, I can make good enough money and then see what happens in the future. But on the other hand, subconsciously, I was like, I don't want my dad's life. You know, I don't want the lifestyle, the struggle, the stress. Like, I don't want any of that. So I kind of felt like I had two choices. I didn't know about business, entrepreneurship. I didn't know about sales. I didn't know about none of this stuff. It's literally like it did not exist on this earth at that time of my life. So I ended up getting into these temporary agency jobs where you like put your resume and they call you and they're like, hey, we need somebody for the weekend to close boxes and tape them shut, and we'll pay you $12 an hour or whatever. And my self-worth was so low that I wouldn't actually go and try to get the job that I wanted. I would wait and wait for scraps. So if someone was like, here, I'll give you this job and I'll pay you some shitty amount of money, I was like, thanks, because I felt like that's all I was worth. Like, I didn't actually feel like I could fight for anything or, apply for the job I would enjoy or any of that stuff. So it got into that. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, I had some really bad stomach problems where I was always in pain and discomfort. And I was getting these things called gall sludge, which is similar to gallstones. And basically, if you're not familiar, it's essentially like this pain in your stomach that feels like your guts are being like ripped out with one of those ditch digger things. And your stomach is feeling like it's filling with gas and it's going to pop. But when you look down, it looks normal. But inside, it feels like there's just so much gas accumulating. You can't burp, you can't fart, you can't get it out. And it's pretty fucking terrible, to be honest. And this was kind of my day-to-day reality. So just to kind of summarize, so I'm trying to find a job, but I have no self-worth. I'm in pain physically with my stomach. My parents are divorced. I don't have a father figure in my life. My mom's doing the best that she can, but she's working 3 jobs. And I'm basically a father figure to my brother when I'm like 12 and he's like 7. So this is kind of the dynamics. Okay. So it wasn't easy. And I know that some of you on this call probably had a lot rougher past than me. And I think like when we talk about rock bottom or our origin story or what shaped us, it's all relative. To me, this was very, very hard. To you, your upbringing, your childhood, your adversity, things that you faced have been equally as hard for you. So it's not really about comparing. I'm just kind of painting the picture that my early days were far from easy. Then all of a sudden, I finally got this job when I was in grade 12, and it was at a sawmill. And I remember working on this because remember, I love sports. So I'm playing football in high school. I'm a quarterback. I'm fast as fuck, but I'm very little. So basically, my strategy was do not get hit by a bigger person than you. So I'm like, if I'm faster than you can't hit me, then I can score some points. And then I just go like this in the end zone. And like, that was my, poor sportsmanship at the time. So basically, I was really, really fast and I did really, really well. I won some awards and all this kind of stuff. But I was a run first quarterback, which is kind of not ideal in American football. You're supposed to be really good at passing. Anyways, so I got this job at the sawmill and it was a team environment. And they explained it to me that it was what's called piecework. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with piecework, but it's essentially the more you produce, the faster you work, the more you get done. You actually get paid based on the production, not just by the hour. And that was like my first sort of introduction to performance-based pay, right? Up until then, everything was hourly and that's all I knew. So I joined this team. There was dudes that are like 30, 35, 40, 45 years old, and I'm like 16, 17. And I'm on a team of 4 or 5 guys, and I'm in this assembly line, and I got to work quick to keep up with them. If I work too slow, they all yell at me and call me a little pussy. And I was like, okay, I got to get faster. So it was pretty intense. But I'm a young kid, I'm a teenager, and I'm keeping up. And these guys are making like $55, $60 an hour based on the piecework production they're doing. I'm getting paid $12 an hour because I'm there from this temp agency as like a little bitch that they're trying to like, take advantage of. So that it wasn't ideal. Then the manager told me that if I worked there for 3 months under this contract of $12 an hour, they're going to pay me the same amount of money as the rest of the team, rest of the crew. And so I'm going from 12 bucks an hour to 50, 60 bucks an hour. And I'm like 16, 17 years old. I'm going, I'm rich. In my head, I'm like, I'm rich, man. What do you mean 50 bucks an hour? Like my dad doesn't even make 50 bucks an hour. So I was all in. I thought I like hit the home run in life. You know what I mean? Like this is like, I'm a success, and it was so exciting. 3 months into it, I show up to shift one day, and one of the first tasks that I have to do is actually cut up the scrap wood that is from the shift before. So I would work the night shift, and there was a day shift, and it was 10 hours shifts, and I'd work 4 days a week for 40 hours, and I get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So show up, I start cutting the wood. I did it every day. It wasn't a big deal. It was super simple. And then all of a sudden I grab all this wood out of this trash bin, and they're all different sizes and lengths and whatever. And I put it on this chop saw. And I grab a bundle of wood. I put it on this chop saw. I click the button. It was hand operated. I click the button. Blade comes from the bottom up, starts spinning, and it gets stuck. And obviously I knew the emergency process, how to shut the shit off and all that stuff. But I'm like kind of looking at this thing, and I'm holding the wood with my right hand. I'm pressing the button with my left hand. Things kicking. And this thing's like no joke. It's like a 3-foot blade, super fucking sharp, goes like a ridiculously fast speed. And all of a sudden it's kicking, and it sucks my hand in. Boom. Cuts off the fucking tip of my finger. I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. So my finger got fucked. Okay. So literally the tip of my index finger gone, the nail off of my thumb clean cut off, which is the biggest blessing, because if you lose your thumb, you're really fucked. But I lost just the nail. I don't know how. It's a miracle. The nail came clean off, but the meaty part of my thumb wasn't damaged. Went in on an angle, cut off kind of like a corner of my middle finger, which can barely tell, and then like a third of my index finger clean off. So obviously this was fucking excruciatingly painful. Fall to the ground, blood's shooting out of my finger like a water gun, literally going like 10 feet, like just shooting everywhere. I fall to the ground, doesn't help the pain, jump back up and start sprinting. I'm like, I'm pretty fast. Let me just sprint. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought running fast would make the pain go away. It didn't. So I'm fucking running now. Everyone's telling me to slow down because they got to look at my hand and give me some emergency services. I'm going, fuck you. And I would run faster. Made 0 sense, but I guess I was in a panic. I went back to my football days, made me feel good, I guess. And then some guy tackles me, puts like my hand in a bag of ice, all this kind of stuff. Went to the hospital, and it felt like all of my fingers were cut off. And I was wearing those like construction gloves, so I couldn't really see the damage. And I was scared to look. I was literally crying because I wasn't willing to face what my hand looked like. I thought all my fingers were gone. That's how much it hurt. Then I got into the ambulance. They took me there, all this kind of stuff. And the reason why I'm sharing this story is because my quote unquote path of $50-$60 an hour on this crew at the sawmill is over. That whole dream is over. Playing football, I'm a quarterback. I throw with my right hand. Over. I'm 16 years old. I haven't even graduated high school. So as you can imagine, my life took this dramatic turn. I went into a deep depression. They couldn't attach that part of my finger that was cut off because it was like obliterated in a bajillion pieces. It wasn't like a clean cut. And basically what ended up happening is I went home, I started having a nurse come and take care of me. And I went into this deep depression of like lost my self-worth. I didn't know what I was going to do with my future. I hated school, and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I'm dealing with a stomach issue. And then about a year after of me like not leaving my house, and I created this story in my head that some of you will relate with around creating these imaginary stories about life, about money, about business, about your relationship with your wife or your kids or anything that are completely fabricated. They're not true at all. They're made up, but you believe it to be 100% true. And it's really interesting when that happens. So I created this story in my head that if I went out in public and a little child happened to look at my hand or my finger by accident, they would freak out, cry, call me a monster, say mommy, daddy, oh my God, what's wrong with that guy? Or all this kind of stuff. None of that ever happened. Not once. but I was literally afraid to be seen because of this kind of fear of what had happened. So I stayed in my house. I wouldn't leave anywhere. And then one day my birthday was coming around. It's actually in the end of December. So it's like holiday season. Friends get together for dinner, whatever. They invited me out. And I went to this place and they asked me to come out for dinner. And this is like my first public appearance in a long time. I went there and the manager of this restaurant, which was my favorite restaurant, they were in the corner whispering, like pointing at me and whispering. And for whatever reason, I thought they saw my finger. And so now they're like making fun of me and talking about it. But they were actually talking about my personality, my charisma, me kind of hanging out with my friends. And they offered me a job. And it was the weirdest thing because I thought for sure I was gonna have to fight somebody because I was so angry that they were talking some shit. And the guy's like, "Would you like to work here?" And I was like looking around, it was like 10 out of 10 hot babes serving at this restaurant. There's like, I don't even see any dudes working there except from the kitchen. They offered me a job. I'm like so confused. And obviously I said yes. I was like, well, yeah, these chicks are hot. So I said yes. So now I'm working at this job and I became a server and a bartender. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because there's all these little synchronicities of like being guided by God or these higher purposes where it's kind of giving me these clues and these nudges in this different direction. So now I'm at a server and a bartender. I'm 18 years old. I'm not even 19, so I can't serve alcohol just yet. And as soon as I turn 19, boom, I'm behind the bar. I'm entertaining. I'm talking with people and all this stuff. And that was my introduction into customer service, or it wasn't even quite sales. It was like, fetching orders and getting people stuff and whatever. But all of a sudden, I realized that I really love connecting with people. And it was this weird thing because all my jobs up until then, I was like behind the scenes. I was stocking shelves. I was in a sawmill. It wasn't really people oriented at all. Now I'm like, kind of schmoozing people and joking around and celebrating people's birthdays and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, ah, man, I really enjoy people. Like, I enjoy making people happy. I enjoy like making their evening special and all this. So it was like a little glimpse into the future. And then next thing you know, they started introducing these sales contests. And at the time, they didn't call it a sales contest, but it was like who can sell the most entrees will get a prize, like a free steak dinner or a bottle of wine. And I'm a competitive guy. And remember, I said I love sports. So I'm missing my past of sports. And I brought that the competitive fire energy to now selling shit at this restaurant. So I'm winning every night, the most entrees. People would come in and be like, I want a chicken Caesar salad. I'm like, no, you don't. Like literally, that's what I would say to the customer. They're like, what do you have you ever had a server tell you no, you don't when you ordered some shit at a restaurant? It's not normal, right? They'd be like a chicken Caesar salad. I'm like, you don't want that. Why would you come here and make and ask for something you can make at home? What you really want is the ribs and the chicken combo. This thing's phenomenal. It's gonna like drool all down your face. And it wasn't quite that, but it was like I made it sound really awesome. And then people would switch their burger, sandwich, salad, appetizer to the steak, the all the entrees that we had at the time. Every single person, I would not accept a no from every table, every customer. I smoked everybody. I won this shit every day. So much fun. Then they sit me down and they say, Balazs, we have a problem. I'm like, all right. You cannot win anymore. What as if, you know what I mean? What are you talking about? They're like, you can't win anymore. All the other servers are getting discouraged. They're not even trying. I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like they got to get better. So that happened. And then I got really pissed off. I'm like, this isn't fair. If they want to win, they should beat me instead of like crying like it's not fair or some shit like this. They're like, yeah, but like you beat them by a lot. So so it was like a funny situation. Then they end up firing me. Okay. They fired me because I refused to stop trying to win. Imagine this, how fucking twisted and backwards this shit is. So now I'm getting fired for being awesome at my job because I want to win a steak dinner. Like none of it made sense. I was so angry because I actually really enjoyed what I was doing. I went and told my buddy. He was like a close friend of mine. I vented to him. I'm like, my job, my boss, I just laid it all out there. And then he told his dad. His dad was a businessman, entrepreneur in sales. And when his son was explaining the story to his dad, all his dad could hear is this dude sounds like he's awesome at sales. Right? You know what I mean? Like if you're in sales and you hear the story, you'd be like, this guy's fucking awesome at sales. But I didn't even think I was in sales. So you see how this is super interesting because my environment from my parents didn't include sales, entrepreneurship, none of that stuff. So my friend comes back to me and goes, my dad says you're awesome at sales. Have you ever thought about being in sales? And I'm like, I would never touch sales, man. Sales are sleazy. They take advantage of people, used car salesman, telemarketer, door to door salesman. This is all the shit my parents said when I was growing up. I would never do that. I'd get disowned by my parents. So, anyways, next thing you know, now I'm doing this. And this is all leading up to basically me getting into door to door sales. So now I'm in door to door sales. My resume, I got fired from every job, 12 jobs by the age of 25. And every one of the jobs I got fired from, guess why? Not because I'm lazy, not because I stole some shit, not because I showed up late. You know why? I was too fucking good at what I was doing and they got rid of me. Isn't that insane? Like they would literally say, I walked up to, I'll give you another example. I was working as a server where you would need to get like condiments and napkins and cutlery or whatever, and all the stuff we needed on our shift was at the very end of this long hallway where the kitchen would put the food up on the counter thing. So we'd have to walk all the way in front of all the fucking shit to the end to get the stuff we needed. And one day I went to the manager. I said, hey, I don't mean to intrude. I know it's not my thing, and you're the manager and you're super smart and everything, but listen, why do we got to walk all the way to the end when we could just put the shit at the front? And then like I save myself like half the time I walk around every day. And they're like, oh yeah, Balazs, yeah, great idea. Boom, next day fired. I'm like, it doesn't even make sense. So that was kind of my experience. Is like every time I tried to think outside the box, think for myself, improve things, it would always lead to me being a threat, them finding a way to get rid of me. So what ended up happening is I didn't have a resume. I didn't have any references. I didn't have anybody to say anything nice about me. So when I tried to get a job, good luck. Finally, door-to-door sales. The thing about door-to-door sales is it's the opposite. Nobody wants to work as a door-to-door salesman. So they'll basically let anybody work there because they're trying to trick you into the job. So now they're trying to trick me into door-to-door sales by making it seem like it's an inbound sales job, telemarketer job where I get leads and calls, and that's what I think I'm signing up for. And then the first day, it turns out we're actually doing breaking and entering into apartment buildings where we're not supposed to be there to give people deals on their internet and TV. So I'm just like going through life very confused. I'm like, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why are we breaking and entering to this building? Oh, I can make some commissions. So like I'm like basically dazed and confused until age 25, if you can't tell. So all of a sudden, all this stuff is going on. Then finally, long story short, I know I'm kind of getting into a lot of the details here, but it's all leading up to basically making you understand that I'm nothing special. I came from so much crazy shit, and it all kind of stumbled into a magic, stumbled into finding this water. My health was messed up. My gallbladder was removed. The water was the only thing that helped me. I lost my dad to cancer when I was 21. 8 months after I lost my dad, we found the water. And then after we found the water, all these people that had cancers, remissions and all these things, they were the ones saying the water had helped them not die. So you can only imagine my perspective as being like, well, why did my dad have to die when now we're helping thousands of people all over the world stay alive and the water is a piece of that puzzle? And so it became this like calling and inspiration for me to actually make a difference with this product from a health standpoint, because it helped my health and it also helped so many other families not lose their loved ones to cancer and stuff, even though I lost my dad. So that's the backstory. Then when we got started March 1st, that was actually 2008. 2008, May, my mom found the water and we started sharing the water. And a lot of you guys right now, when you first discovered this company, you discovered online web classes, Zooms like this one, all these really fancy tools. None of that existed in 2008. We had one old PowerPoint slide deck that looked like a 2-year-old slapped it together. It was the worst thing you've ever seen. And it had pictures of buttholes, literally like colonoscopy pictures before and after. And that's how we sold the water. We're like, this is your butthole right now today. You drink this water for 90 days, you're gonna have a clean butthole. You should get a machine or you might fucking die. Like it was kind of like that. It was pretty brutal. And people are like, I want one. I want one. And then obviously compliance and stuff started coming in and we can't really say that shit anymore. But that's how it began. We were sharing the water for free. Now, if a lot of you guys aren't sharing the water, having people just try a sample, neighbors, relatives, friends, just like completely detached from making a sale, but just being like, yo, drink this water for 30 days. Don't drink pop. Don't drink alcohol. Don't drink like coffees and shit, only drink this water. If you're going to make a coffee, make it with this water. If you're going to make a tea, make it with this water. Um, if you really have to drink some booze because your life's all fucked up and you feel like you got to drink, then like, make ice with this water and put that in your drink. You know what I mean? But ultimately, give people an opportunity to try this water because those testimonials make your belief go through the roof. And that's what happened to me. So I'm giving away this water. People are coming to my house. I'm in a dark place. I'm depressed. I'm not feeling good. I lost my dad. My stomach is just starting to get better from the water. And my mom starts sending people to my house and I'm filling them up and stuff. And the water starts changing their lives. I went on this is like a crusade of this water changed my life. Everybody should get this water. And I'm a guy that goes from 0 to 100 really quickly. So I told every single person that I knew about the water. They all made fun of me, said it was a scam. Your mom got scammed. I heard all the negativity, all that stuff. And I kind of got discouraged to the point where I was like, I knew it was helping me, but I'm not going to keep trying to like ram it down people's throats. So I just kind of let it go for 5 years. That's when I did door-to-door sales, made some money. And a lot of you on this call right now probably have a similar experience to the meaning of money in your life. You probably came from a place in the past. And if this is true, drop it in the chat for me in 1 second. I'm going to ask you to pop a 1 in the chat if you relate to this. If you came from a background where money had like lack and scarcity in your family, there wasn't an abundance of it. You kind of, your family struggled with it. You were maybe lower middle class, and you had a little bit of money, and it wasn't like you weren't homeless on the streets or anything, but you thought that as a man to go make more money when you became a father or an adult or a husband would solve most of your problems. And so you went on this pursuit and this chase of more money, more money, more money. And eventually you realized that all of your energy is basically going towards this one dimensional aspect of your life, which is to go and make the money. And you sacrifice yourself. You sacrifice your wants, your needs, your hobbies, your passions. You sacrifice your soul for this small little tiny bit of money. And then you don't even have the respect, the love, the admiration, all the things that you thought it would give you from your wife, from your kids, all the stuff. So you end up feeling like you were lied to, you were deceived, you were tricked into a plan that was never going to actually end up turning out in your favor. So if that's you and you relate to this, put a 1 in the chat. I know you guys already got there before I even asked. And that was me as well. So I'm making $250,000 a year. I'm 25 years old, 27, 26 years old, and I have no mortgage, no bills, really, like no liabilities, no kids, not married yet, didn't own anything. And I'm just making like 20 to 25 grand a month clean cash minus, writing some stuff off for taxes or whatever. And all of a sudden, I realized that I was trapped. It was a version of the golden handcuffs. And money was nice, and I was, putting it in the bank, and I wasn't spending it on dumb stuff or anything like this. But I didn't have lifestyle. I didn't have freedom. I didn't have purpose. I didn't have fulfillment. I was missing so much. It was just this empty dollar number that was piling up, in my bank account. And I remember being like, man, I got to start living my life. And some of you guys, different ages on this call, younger, older, whatever, it's irrelevant. But for me, around 27, I haven't traveled. I haven't done fun stuff. I couldn't afford to hang out and do anything with my friends. I always made an excuse. I can't. I'm tired. I'm sick. I can't make it. I would always bail on plans because I was embarrassed that I was broke. And then all of a sudden, this large sum of money started to come in because I learned how to do door-to-door sales and I built a team and I was making good money. And the line in the sand moment for me was when I asked to take my wife now, but girlfriend at the time, to Mexico for her birthday, which is in the first week of September. And my boss literally laughed at me. Before I even finished requesting the time off, he already was laughing in my face like, who the fuck do you think you are? It was the most insulting, condescending feeling ever where I felt like I was his bitch. It was the worst thing ever. I couldn't believe it. And I had all this money. I wanted to take this time off. I was asking for a week off, not like a year or some crazy, literally just a week after working 6 days a week for years for the same person. And he's like, what does this look like? Christmas holidays, man? Like we get 2 weeks off at the end of the year, it's the first week of September. Yeah, right. This is back to school. We have these promotions. We got to go sell internet and TV, blah, blah, blah. Just laughs at me. That was the moment deep inside. I was like, fuck you. I'm out of here. I'm creating my escape plan. Like, I literally felt like I was in jail, locked behind bars, and I'm going to take my little stupid spoon and start digging a hole underneath my bed, where the toilet is, and nobody's going to see me escaping from this prison. That's what it felt like. I'm like, I'm escaping starting now. And so I started looking into all these different options, businesses, side hustles, things I could create the freedom. And network marketing was the one thing that I found that made sense. I told you most of my life, nothing made sense to me. I was confused. Things weren't adding up. I was trying to make things better, optimize, more efficient. And everybody basically fired me, got rid of me, didn't take me seriously. And I just felt like an outcast who didn't belong. When I understood the network marketing business model and how it all works and connects, I was like, if I was to create a path to freedom, a path to fulfillment, this would be it. Whoever created this concept is brilliant, is genius. They literally hack the matrix. And I studied it more and more and more. And I studied all the different types of comp plans and companies. I read 7 books about network marketing before I even joined my first company. And then I got into a health and wellness company called Visalis that sold these Body by Vi shakes for, like, some of you may have heard of them before. And it was pretty good. We got off to a good start, but the problem was it was a 90-day challenge. So every 90 days, all your customers would give up and stop getting the products. So that made no sense for like an auto ship company. So that I switched to a coffee company. I was like, coffee is basically the closest thing to selling drugs, but it's legal. So I was like, this makes a lot of sense. So I sold a healthy coffee. I'm like, this is brilliant. I did pretty good. And right when that started to take off, I realized that the one common denominator between the first 2 companies I was in is that I would mix the products with Kangen water because I already had my machine. So I would get these Body by Vi shakes. I'd mix it with Kangen water. It tasted like the most amazing milkshake I've ever had in my life. I'd sell this product to someone else. They would mix it with tap water, bottled water, fridge water, some other bullshit. And they'd be like, it's clunky. There's no flavor. It sucks. And I'm like, what? I'm confused because mine's the best. And like, why is yours suck? So I was very confused and I realized they didn't have the water. Same thing with the coffee. The coffee came in these little packages, and it was kind of funny. You'd go to Starbucks, you'd ask for a hot water, which is like the cheapest shit you could do, right? It's like hot water's free back then. Maybe they charge for it now. I don't know. So it's like, can I get a free hot water? You just felt like such a bum, And they give you the water, and then you'd pour your little sachet of healthy coffee, feeling like such a fucking dork, and then you'd mix that shit in, and then you sit there. Anyways, I made a boatload of money. It was funny, but I'm like, what am I doing, man? This shit's embarrassing. Anyway, so that happened for a bit, and then I got reintroduced back to the water, and this was 2013. So we got involved in the water. We started doing home presentations, sharing the water, and really just enjoying the process of changing people's lives. And the message that I'm getting to here, this was obviously a long answer here, long story, but the message I'm really getting to here is that if you fall in love with changing your life, transforming who you are into the best version of yourself, and then giving that person to the world and inspiring others to change their life into who they're meant to be, then you'll get so much joy, so much fulfillment, so much fun in this business that it isn't about ranks and income and all that. That is a byproduct that will happen. So I genuinely fell in love with the process of introducing Enagic, the company, the water, the compensation plan, the freedom, the potential, all of this to someone, and seeing the light bulb go off in their eyes for the very first time, where they're like, oh my gosh, I finally feel like I understand why I'm here, what I can create, what's possible for myself. And that little moment of explaining it, and they're like listening, they're kind of confused. They're like, oh, okay, all right, not quite getting it. And then I'd say one thing, and it was always a little bit different for every person. Sometimes it was the cash flow quadrant. Sometimes it was the compensation plan. Sometimes it was legacy income. Sometimes it was the molecular hydrogen in the water and how it like cleans your cells from free radicals, and how it prevents illness and disease when you have this like ability to flush things out of your system. Everybody was a little bit different, but all of a sudden they'd kind of lean in, eyes would get big, and they go, like, I get it. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck, that's the feeling I'm after right there, man. Another person just woke up. Another person just woke up. And I would do that every single day. And I wouldn't even be tracking my numbers or my sales or my nothing like that. I just started getting checks in the mail. And I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even know how the comp plan worked. I'd get checks. I wouldn't even know what happened. I'd just be like, yo, this is sweet. Put it in the bank. And then I'd ask questions afterwards. I'm like, I think I hit a rank and like I'm getting these bonuses, but like, how do I actually do this on purpose? It was hilarious. Some of you might have experienced that already in this company. Like you're getting checks and bonuses and winning shit, and you're like, I don't know, man, but it's pretty cool. So that started, and we did that for the first 11 months, hit 6A. Um, and then I'll actually pull up my journey here because Dan asked me to share my screen for a couple of things you guys wanted to see. Can you please give me share access? I'm just going to show the way that this business works. For a lot of people, they don't understand um the leverage component to it and the exponential growth. So in the first few years, your effort and how much you're putting into this is out of balance. Okay. It's out of proportion. You're working harder than your finances are showing and the sales are showing. So it seems like an upside down, backwards model to what most people have ever had in their life. And that's why most people give up. They give up, they quit, they don't persist because we've been conditioned in our jobs and our traditional self-employed type of businesses and all this kind of thing is like you put in the long hours and you get the check at the end of the week or every 2 weeks or something like this. In this business, you keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up. Sometimes you don't get sales, sometimes you don't get paid, and eventually just kind of wears off. You're like, I'm not willing to keep investing so much of myself, so much of my time, energy, etc., into this business. And that's why people fall off. But when you have the longevity of your business like I do now, and you look back in hindsight, what's really interesting is I'm about to average in year 12, we're going to hit $1 billion in sales in my 12th year since I started at $0 in sales, just like everybody else. We started at $0. In year 12, we're going to cross $1 billion in sales. And when we divide $1 billion by 12 years, I'm going to average out over $83 million a year in sales, right? If it was equal for 12 years straight. But that's not how it happened. It actually happened. I only sold 75,000 in my first year. And it kind of kept climbing and climbing and climbing. And we're on pace to do 240 million US this year. Last year was 168 million. The year before that was even less. So I just want to show you guys some numbers because I know Dan asked me to share some numbers. So I'm going to get into that now. 1 second here. Why is my computer freezing and shit? Yeah, you guys are doing some cool things with the brotherhood and this path that you guys are on, and we're going to talk about that as well as soon as I show these numbers a little bit more once my shit stops. Why is it frozen, man? Come on. Just a second. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe I can't share my screen. Hold on. Try this computer right here. No limits. Yeah, it gets pretty exciting what happens here, guys. So let me show you guys yearly growth. I'm gonna log in on this other computer.
Hey, Balazs, it looks like multi-screen sharing isn't turned on yet. So maybe if you request that, it'll come up. I just tried to share screen and it says it's not on yet. So if you click share and then say send request, it should come through to Danny.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I got that spinning wheel action going on, and I can't do anything on this computer. It's so annoying. 1 sec. It's not expecting this to happen. This is super annoying. Can you guys see that?
We've got it, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still doing the spinny shit.
Technology, eh?
Oh, super annoying. Okay. Anyways, maybe I won't be able to share, but I'll just tell you guys the numbers. Actually, hold on. Can you, Dan or Danielle, can you email me the Zoom link to, I'll put my email in here. And then I can open it on this computer because it's kind of like not really working. So, can you email the Zoom link to that real quick and then I can pull it up, please?
Yeah, for sure, legend.
All right, let's talk about something else in the meantime for a couple minutes here. So yeah, when we're talking about the brotherhood stuff and the men's side of it, I think the biggest shift that you guys got to really understand is the competition has completely changed in this marketplace. And when I first got started, you know, online marketing, social media marketing, the branding side of things was more minimal. A lot of this stuff was happening offline and it's sort of transitioned online. And what I think is so critical for all of you guys to really grasp, if you're not already fully on point with this, is that you got to have your affairs in order in your life. And when you start this business, you may not make sales right off the start. Some of you do, but you know, some of you it takes a little bit of time. But you have to show personal transformation. So you have to literally get more optimized, more dialed in other aspects of your life that you can track and measure. So whether that's your fitness goals, maybe you got to lose some body fat, get stronger, go to the gym, those kinds of things. Maybe you got to improve your relationship with your wife. Maybe you got to, you know, spend more quality time with your kids. Maybe you just have to have more fun and you've been so caught up in work and, you know, the mundane and the repetition of your calendar and your schedule that it's really, really important that you understand that this business model really is attached to your personal growth. And we know we talk a lot about that personal growth, personal development, and, you know, the books and the podcasts and the trainings and a lot of the intellectual skill sets and things like this. But you actually have to show a dramatic improvement and growth around who you are as a person and how you're experiencing this life. And a lot of that stuff doesn't actually require you to make more money and make sales in this business initially. So you know, it's almost kind of like the vision, the dream, the hope of what's possible is reignited in yourself. Like a lot of us, like maybe I don't want to speak on your behalf, but you can drop a 2 in the chat if you agree with this, is that prior to finding this community, this opportunity, the brotherhood specifically, you felt kind of empty, right? Like you're kind of like questioning, like, what is the point? Like, what's the point of all this? Am I supposed to just pay my bills until one day I die? Like, it kind of just felt like there wasn't really this vision and progression, and there was no hope. You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, what you need to show people is that you've shifted into like being awoken to this idea and this potential that life is fun. You got to really enjoy it. You got to go do some stuff and don't take it so seriously. And so when people go, something about you changed, you're more positive, you're more grateful, you're more excited, you're more fulfilled. There's just a kind of like a jump in your step. And people ask you, what happened? How do you know what's changed? What's different? Then you tie it back to this. You tie it back not necessarily to the water always, but it's a part of it, right? Like you're more hydrated all of a sudden, which makes you have more energy, gives you better sleep, you feel better, you recover faster when you train. So yes, of course, the water plays a huge part. But you actually have to show that you take care of yourself, that you respect yourself, right? You have to cut out the vices. A lot of you guys right now are being held back in your life because you're trying to keep the comforts of your old life because you were kind of like numbing the fact that you had no purpose, the fact that you were unhappy. You were numbing a lot of this stuff and created some really bad habits. So those bad habits are sticking with you, even though one foot's out the door and you're actually now focusing on you're now focusing on this next level version of yourself, and you're trying to leave your old life behind. But in order for that to happen, you have to have this clean cut. So, be brutally honest with yourself right now. Do you have a vice, some sort of a vice that you're really clinging on to, whether it's, alcohol, it could be some drugs or weed or like a vape pen or porn or like YouTube or Netflix or watching sports obsessively. Maybe it's gambling. Who knows? Everybody's got something typically that you got to really cut that out. And what happens when you do this is that this is something that you can choose to do with just your consciousness and your commitment and your level of effort. But what happens is people like, let's say that you're somebody who's always had drinks on the weekend with your buddies, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not drinking anymore. This starts to shift your attractiveness in your personal brand and your online messaging, because you start to be a speaker of truth. And the thing about truth that's so fascinating to me is that you will never show up as your authentic self in full truth when you have something to hide. So if you're hiding your vices, if you're hiding your shame, if you're hiding these things, then you will not feel like you can put yourself out there to grow this business. Does that make sense? So as you start to peel back these layers and cut these things away, you start to show up as the man, the husband, the father that you're supposed to be behind closed doors, and only your wife and kids can see this, which to me has been like the ultimate awakening. When my daughter was born 4 years ago, I was 35% body fat. Okay. You can see old pictures of me. Dan and Danielle have known me for longer than that. And I'm down to 15%. And I'm still not where I want to be, but I've dropped 20% body fat in the last 4 years. And it's been a process. But I was so unhappy with who I was because I was just building the business and focusing on these external things. But behind closed doors, I was lazy. I wasn't working out. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't taking care of myself. And when my wife was 6 months pregnant, I started to have the shift in my mindset. I was like, oh my gosh, my daughter's going to see her dad being this fat fucking slob, this lazy motherfucker. And I'm going to tell her that she can be anything and that she should have this amazing life. And one day, like, have her Prince Charming or this kind of thing. And like, I'm this example that's pathetic. And I really started to see things not from my own point of view, where it was like I was lying to myself and getting away with it, and like not really being honest and telling the truth. But I started to look at it from another lens. I'm like, what does my daughter see? What does my wife actually see? And I'm like, they see something completely different. And so I hired a trainer. I got my macros dialed in. I started, having a meal plan and getting my blood work done. These are all things that every single person on this call should be doing. Like, do you actually follow a meal plan in your macros? Do you actually go get your hormones tested and your blood work done to see that you're improving and getting better? These are all really massive things that when you go online and you do like a DEXA scan or something like this, and it shows your numbers, your results, right? It's just full transparency. This is my starting point. This is my body fat. This is like how much muscle I have or whatever. And you share that publicly on your social media, and then you go, watch this shit, bitch. And then you go on like a 90-day sprint, you get get things dialed in, and you show results, and people ask you, what are you doing? Then you tie it back to your program or your business. So you basically go, yeah, this is a multifaceted approach. And obviously you guys have the brotherhood aspect of it as well, which is really exciting. And I'm sure you're doing a lot of this there. I don't know much about what you guys are doing, but I'm sure a lot of this is included in that. But you actually start to show this transformation. Then you become attractive to your audience. And when they start asking you questions, then your business starts to grow, because then they'll want the water, but they're buying it based on your results. They're not buying it based on the flyer or the website or the funnel or the web class. They're buying it because you're actually transforming in front of their face, and you're doing the things that they want to do, but they don't have the fucking balls to do it. And they don't have the accountability to support in the community to actually pull it off. So like, that's the game, right? And the more momentum you build, the more fun it becomes. And when you drop the booze and the drinks and all this kind of negative vices, and you fill that in with more positive habits, it becomes a new addiction that's actually good for you, right? You get addicted to the gym. You get addicted to eating clean. You get addicted to changing people's lives. It's still a form of addiction that's actually positive, that lights you up. And that's the shift a lot of you need to make if you haven't made it yet. And when we talk about business or results, or sorry, working out at the gym, or if you're not getting results, like if you're not getting a transformation, you're doing the wrong shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have you ever seen the people at the gym that have been going for years? They look exactly the same. It's like, what the fuck have they been doing? Like, they're not doing the right stuff. They're not, doing progressive overload training, or they're not eating the right amount of food, or they're like secretly eating the candy bars or something like that. Like, something is off, and everybody can tell who's an expert in that field, but they're like going through the motions, right? They're showing up and doing it. And that's how a lot of people build this business. They go through the motions, but they don't focus on actually improving and getting results. So, like, if you see somebody in the community who gets in and starts crushing it, and you actually ask them what they're doing, they're going to tell you the stuff that you know that you should be doing. The difference is they're actually doing it. Does that make sense? So there's the talking heads, and then there's the people actually doing it. So I think, like, you guys really understand that opportunity to grow, then you'll be amazed at what happened. Because for my growth in my business, the biggest shift was that I kept saying what I was going to do. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. And people be like, yeah, sure. And then I do it. And then people go, oh. And then I'd set the new target, the new goal, the new benchmark. This is where we're going next. Watch this. And we'd hit it. And so over time, year 1, year 2, year 3, it was constantly speaking it into existence, executing it, and making it happen. And then what would happen is these people that watched for years and years and years, still doubting, still not really believing, like, yeah, sure, yeah, everybody talks a big game, but nobody delivers, blah, blah, blah. I kept delivering. And then what happened is the next generation of people who would join my business, including Dan and Danielle and a lot of you on this call, they came in these waves. Okay. So when I met them, I don't know how long you guys have been in the business. I think 6 or 7 years or something like this. I might be wrong. But I was already in the business, for 4 or 5 years at the time. So there's this element of like, you gotta transform yourself in a positive way without the sales, without the money, start improving yourself and start to be this inspiring example of what other men want, right? I don't think any men are like, my goal is to be a fat fuck. Like, like I've never heard anybody say that before. But why are so many men like that? Right? Does that make sense? My goal is to be broke. Have you ever heard anybody say that? Why are so many men broke? My goal is to never have sex with my wife. Then why are so many men in sexless marriages? So the point is that there needs to be this example that we set to grow, to evolve to the next level. And then you get to like actually show that. And then you set the next bar and the next target. And then what ends up happening is you bring in a small group of people, like some direct sales, some trifectas, some quads. And your most important mission that a lot of people miss is not to get the next sale. It's to help that person succeed. It's to help that person get results, because then you end up becoming the second generation of transformation. So now let's say your fitness is improving, your happiness and joy is improving, you're spending more time with your kids, whatever. But then all of a sudden you get these case studies of people who are like, when I met Balazs, I was here. This is what my life was like. And now it's like this. Thanks, Balazs. Thanks, Enagic. Thanks, the community. Now you have second generation transformation, right? Then those people start to get their initial sales, build their team, get to 4A, get to 6A, and then they bring in the third generation. And what I did really well for the first 5, 6 years of my business is I kept going generations deep, right? Is I would identify and notice the people that were alphas, the people that were leaders, the people that were willing to go above and beyond and not focus on the minimum, right? The second someone joins the business, if they say, what's the minimum amount of time I can put in here to get results? I'm like, you're a fucking loser. You're done. You're never going to make it, because that type of focus is never going to work. Right. So as soon as someone's like, listen, I want to run, I want to get results. How do I get to 6A? You can just tell the energy's different of somebody who's a mover and a shaker. So I would connect with those people. I would invest into them, and I didn't care who their upline sponsor, blah, blah, blah was. Sometimes I would be working very closely with people 50, 60, 70 levels deep, in this business. And I would be treating them like they were a direct sale of mine, because it was irrelevant. What I was looking for were these pillars of strength, these pillars of leadership, these pillars of people that were not average, but I wasn't responsible for bringing them in necessarily. It didn't matter. And so then, one of my mentors, he told me this a long time ago. He's like, if you're going to light a rope should you light the rope at the top or the bottom? And I didn't really understand what he was saying. I was like, well, I don't know. He's like, if you light the rope at the bottom, the flames travel all the way up the rope. So if you invest in someone in your business who happens to be, you know, however many levels deep, depending on the size of your organization, and I help this person win and succeed, make sales and transform their life, and they start getting sales, what happens? Those points start to flow up, right? So the upline who's not doing anything, or they're lazy or procrastinating or barely trying to build this business, they start getting checks. They get checks and they're like, how am I getting these checks? What's going on? They keep coming from this guy named John. What's John up to, right? And then all of a sudden, a lot of the time, what happens is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people above, even though I'm working with John way down deep, they get re-engaged. They step their shit up. They start building the business. And now instead of always focusing on new people who just join and then give up and quit or whatever, I'm focusing on keeping the current business engaged. All right. So it's very, very powerful stuff. Now, I'm just going to take a quick break and find this email because I can't do two things at once, clearly.
Balazs, I sent it to you on Facebook and also here in the Zoom private chat. I don't have your email handy.
I put it in the chat for you. It's BWK at Balazs W Kardos.
Thanks, legend. Coming through.
Yeah, thanks.
Just while you're organising that, Balazs,
yeah,
I'd like to be able to pull out somebody just exactly what you've just been talking about. This gentleman came into our organisation. He wasn't a direct sponsor from myself. He actually came through Bays Nelson, who was a direct sponsor from me. And Gordon's actually the creator and founder of the Legacy Brotherhood here, and he's all around, you know, health, wealth, and purpose. And I wanted to bring him out because he actually was the fastest 6A in Australia. He hit 6A in 4 months. He's just about to go 6A.
Amazing.
And he's just on fire to be able to help and inspire more men than ever before, you know, around the health, wealth, and purpose. And I want you to meet Jordan, but also for Jordan to be able to ask you a question as well. So Jordan, would you mind jumping out? And I'd love for you to be able to ask Balazs a question, mate.
Yeah, let's do it.
How are you, brother?
What's up, Jordan? Good to finally connect with you, man.
Yeah, man, I'm so pumped. I've been stinging Dan for ages. I can't wait to the moment we get to meet in person. I believe it's going to be June, brother, over in the States.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome. I hope all of you guys are gonna make that trip to San Diego. It's absolutely life-changing. And one of the quick things I'll mention on this is that your personal development and your business growth has to be built between conventions, right? And so you have to make a commitment to go to all of them, doesn't matter where it is in the world, because you will always transform and level up despite what's happening at the time in your business or your personal life. Just always make that commitment. And I've been doing that for, you know, over a decade. It's been a huge game changer. So anyways, hope to see every single one of you guys there. Make the commitment, buy the ticket. They're on sale until the end of this year. And then I think they double or something in price. So make the commitment, block the time off, book the flights, all that stuff. And super pumped to see all you guys in San Diego, including you, Jordan. So yeah, brother, what's the question? Let's dive into it.
Man, the biggest question for me in the way what I navigate is a lot of people, especially when you're hardworking. In Australia, we have a very hard workers culture, probably in many other countries as well, US, Canada, and you have this sense of I'm a hard worker. Now, a lot of guys, I find they get to the phase of online business and they just can't wrap their head around it. And I wouldn't, for you being your own hardworking mentality and what you've been through, the changes you've seen in your life, the tens of thousands of people you've seen change their life with online business. What is your advice to someone who's still like struggling to get the concept of making money online?
It's just a tool, right? You're really applying the same work ethic, the same mentality. Hard work is necessary for success in anything that you do, right? A fruitful marriage is hard work. A great physique and health is hard work. There's an element of hard work in everything, right? To be a great father, I'm going through it right now with my 5-week-old son, is just to stay calm under pressure and the chaos and the crying and the certain things developmentally that he's going through is hard work. but it's also the most rewarding. So when it comes to an online business, you just unlock a new level of tools, essentially, and it transforms everything, where you can put that same level of hard work in with maximum leverage and maximum reach. And that's the biggest game changer. So I could, instead of having a one-to-one coffee presentation with somebody, I could do an Instagram live, do the exact same conversation, and have 100,000 followers potentially listen. I'm not sure if they will, all of them, but potentially listen. I could create a training. I'll give you an example. I did this one webinar in what year was it? 2016, June. 2016, June. So we're approaching 8 years or something. Is done $500 million in sales. One webinar that was shitty lighting, shitty sound. I just shared my story, shared my magic slides, and somebody kept that webinar, which I thought was long gone. Like, I completely forgot about it, chopped it, edited it, put it in some back end of their platform, community, whatever. And it's still, to this day, 8 years later, their sales video. And I forgot about it. That does not exist if it's offline. If I did that in somebody's living room, same presentation, same hard work, same everything, and it wasn't recorded and it wasn't, leveraged and systemized online, it would just be a great presentation one time, and I maybe would have done 10, 20,000 in sales that one day. It's over. So I believe that we're living in a very prosperous time as a society, even with something like ChatGPT and AI coming out about a year ago, maybe roughly, has completely revolutionized the speed, efficiency, and ability to get things done, which is another massive upgrade, in terms of like 1,000x of leverage, tools, potential. Same thing with ads. You can speak to one clear individual in terms of a avatar, or like personality type, or age, or men versus women, or languages, or countries, or whatever, and you can have a one-to-one conversation with your camera, speaking directly to Jordan and who you are, and then target it where now 100 people or 500 people or 1,000 people who are just like Jordan will see that video every day while I'm rocking my baby to sleep who's screaming in my face. Now, alternatively, hard work in Australia, Canada, and US is, honey, hold the baby. I don't have time for this. I got to go bang tools around and work hard. See the difference? So the hard work for us is really getting out of our own way, because it's technology and it's unfamiliar, and maybe we're shy on camera, or we're not very well spoken, just simply because we don't have a lot of practice and we've never really explored that part of ourselves in terms of a skill. But once we develop that, it unlocks literally a superpower, right? Like my kids, when they grow up, I want daddy to be the superhero, not fucking Batman or Iron Man or some like celebrity or pro athlete. Daddy's the hero. My daughter already says, Daddy, you're my hero. And she's 4, because I want to exemplify that well-rounded superhuman ability. But online is the superpower that men need, because without online, we're all fucked. We're out of the home. We work long hours. We're exhausted. And we're basically our dad's generation, or my dad's generation, where that was like the badge of honor. You know what I'm saying? It's like the badge of honor is providing, protecting, being dirty and all this stuff, which is fine, but there's a better way now. And this business model, combined with the power of technology and online, is what every single one of you guys needs to really double down and focus on, because it unlocks everything else, right? Like the way that my experience has been is I needed to solve the money game to allow me to quit my job. When I quit my job, I had more control of my time. When I had more control of my time, I was able to use it for more efficient, better use of leverage and growth and exponential opportunity. That led to me having passive income. The passive income then gave me more space to take care of my health. Then it also gave me space to become a father and be fully present. So the money piece was like level 1, unlock the game. Then level 2 was time. Then I had to actually be respectful of my time, not wasting it, procrastinating, being lazy, because time freedom, if you squander it, is like the same thing as being homeless. It's not efficient or beneficial. But if you use that time really smart, then you unlock the next level of leverage. Then you have, you know, like this exponential growth piece, which I'm trying to show you guys with my fucking laptop right now. And it keeps going and going and going and going. So that's how I look at it when it comes to online is you have to be foolish as a man in 2024 to make any sort of excuse around, I don't get it, I don't understand it, can't wrap my head around it, because it's simply just a tool to connect more human beings and find your tribe and find your people without it having to be local. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a handful of people locally to where I live that have anything in common with me, and I can log online to a Facebook group or a Zoom call like this, and I'm sure all of you guys on this call, we have more in common, and you guys are in all different parts of the world, in Australia and stuff like that. It's like, that's online, connecting our tribe and our people directly to each other, and it doesn't have to be the local, which I think is the biggest game changer ever. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I think the way I look at it is a digital gold rush. You know, there was the physical gold rush a few generations ago, and
That's true. It is, yeah.
They picked up the pickaxes, they went and dug for gold, and they found it. They got the reward. And those who were too lazy, I couldn't make the travel, couldn't do the work, don't know how to find gold, they missed out, right? We're now in a digital gold rush. So the people who are willing to actually create the tools, find the resources, and actually apply them, they will get the gold out of this digital gold rush, and the others will just get left behind in the old model. And so I'm so passionate about this, because it's such an opportunity for men to create something completely different. And what's so inspirational, brother, I really want to acknowledge you for this, is that you've set the bar so high. You've set the bar so
Thanks.
high, and the example is through your leadership, which is I encourage all of my team to lead by example. Don't just try and sell a water machine. Don't just try and run a business. Don't just try and make money. It's about who you are as a man. And when you transform yourself, that'll be the best plug for your business. That'll be the best plug for how you turn up and lead. So I think, yeah,
exactly.
Thank you so much for your
and the thing is, guys, like I said, when you look at it now, right now, there's all these people that are peddling this gold rush with crappy products, crappy network marketing things, and all this kind of stuff. But very few of these individuals actually have a life that someone would want, right? And so when you think about your content strategy and all this kind of like technical stuff, is literally document your own transformation. Imagine there was a Netflix documentary on your rise to success, not just financially, but with your freedom, with your impact, with your children, with your marriage, with your health. And there was going to be a documentary on Netflix of your story in 5 years from today or 10 years from today. What kind of B-roll and documentation do you have of that, showing where you started from and where you are? That's how you should look at your content. So every day you wake up and you reaffirm the person that you want to be by the actions you take and the habits that you create. So like, if you want to be a healthy, jacked, strong, lean, muscular person, well, you have to follow through on those habits every single day and have that transformation, and simply document it with your camera and put a little clip on to your fucking Instagram and just show that. You know, if you want to be a great father and spend quality time with your children and have dates with your kids and, you know, dates with your wife and have fun and whatever, just document that you're doing that stuff. And what's interesting about it is it creates this positive feedback loop, that the more you do it and document it, the more you want to do it and the better you want to do it, because there's accountability from the public, quote unquote, your audience, and your audience might be 50 to 100 people. So it's like an interesting thing where like you're doing it for your own personal growth, but you're also giving people a permission slip to be like, you can do this too. And then when they start asking questions, how do you do it? Why are you so committed? You're like, because the better I become, the more I achieve my goals. And so it ends up being this positive upward spiral towards this vision. And you got to take risks and have leaps of faith along the journey. And I'll give you an example. So there are certain people in my business. I have this bird's eye view, right? Tens of thousands of people. I'm in touch with a bunch of them, whatever. And I can dramatically see the difference of somebody. It would almost be the equivalent of like rock climbing. So you're climbing this rock and it's kind of safe, and you know it's up high, and there's risk that you fall. And then all of a sudden, you know, those rock climbing movies and moments where there's like the overhang thing and you got to fucking leap and like grab on that shit. And if you don't grab it, you're done. You know, like the free climbing. In the business, it's kind of like that. Is every once in a while around 6A and then 6A2 and then -2, these levels, you know, they don't mean much to the average person because it's just a number with like some weird math equation. People are like, whatever. But it actually shows your leap of faith and your risk that you have to take to the next level. So like, for example, for me, I bought a house. And I was telling all these people that I had this traumatic childhood where my parents got bankrupt. They lost their house. We could never really establish like having an asset or like, you know what I mean? Like it was always like we got a little bit ahead and we lost everything. So I went and I bought a house, built it custom, and the very first house I've ever owned is the one I'm in right now. 5,000 square feet, our dream home, home gym, theater room, like everything I've ever wanted. My very first house, and it was way out of my financial budget of what I could afford. So I talked with the developer and I said, listen, what's the down payment that I can hold this land, design the place, and when is it going to be ready? And they said 18 months, 100 grand down, non-refundable deposit, and you're going to have to put down 30 to 40% because of your self-employed, blah, 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 all this bullshit. So I put 100K down, non-refundable deposit, and in 18 months, I had to grow into the person to afford the house. And I fucking did it. And was it stressful? Yes. Did I lose sleep? Yes. Was it fucking crazy? Yes. But at the same time, I knew that this story and this stretch and this leap of faith and this risk that I took would also grow my business, because other people would go, this guy had the fucking balls to go in on his dream home for his first house and pull that shit off. Then I hit it and I hit -3. Guess how much my mortgage was? $5,500 a month. Guess how much my -3 minimum is? 5,000. Now I had a story. What's up, bitch? I got a mortgage with this goal that I hit that I wasn't even close to 18 months ago. And check this out. And then you've heard Clint X Morgan's story about us hitting 6A right before that convention. That was happening during this 18 months. So I actually got out of my comfort zone, called Clint. And I said, Clint, listen, brother, you need to hit 6A and I'm going to help you do it because I got this fucking house on the line. Like, we cannot fail. And we made it happen. And now Clint's the #1 dude because of that initiation that I had to, you know, overcome. So when we look at people's journeys and success stories, you guys all have to understand that there's got to be this leap of faith where you got to buy a house, you got to grow, you got to travel the world, you got to get yourself to convention, you got to get on stage and hit the next level, because that is what makes people see that you're the real deal. And then the train is going and they're going to start thinking like, I got to get on this train or else I'm going to miss out. And when that happens, your business starts to really take off. Does that make sense for you guys? But if you end up staying in the exact same spot and it's the same old, same old, same old, same old for years, your business momentum will start to go down because like this guy's not winning. He's not growing. He's not leveling up. So you actually have to have some form of aspiration and targets, whether that's investment properties or, you know, holidays and trips or whatever it is that lights you up, that motivates you. But you have to keep stretching and stretching. If you do that long enough, while you're a good person with integrity, being a leader, doing your best to lead by example and all those other character attributes, then you're going to build a rock solid business that's going to keep growing for life and generations to come. So that's how I've done it personally. I lost you. You left me. Was I talking too much?
No, you're right. It's actually really cool. It's really cool that you say that because I'll share a little bit of my story. A long story short, I actually went all in online in 2021. I sold my gym and I went all in and tried to do drop shipping, tried to do Amazon, tried to do all the things. And I moved my family to Bali. And it was 4 months into that trip that we'd smoked all of our savings. I'd invested, over 20 grand into opportunities and not made a single profit. And, housing's like 10 grand a month. And we basically had to tuck our tail between our legs and come back to Australia and live with my partner's parents because I just wasn't making money. And Nicola's looking at me like, what are you fucking doing? You told me you were going to make money online. And so that was a big bruise to my ego. And, now 2 years on, we've just booked like our first world tour for next year. And
amazing.
We're going to be traveling, running up the Enagic business worldwide. And the community we've created is so epic. So it's like your goals may not come to you on a silver platter straight away, but if you just don't quit and you just stay resilient with some crocodile skin, you actually, as long as you don't quit and you just keep putting foot to floor, it's going to happen. And with this business model, what we've actually got and the incredible alignment with the company and the products and the support, men can't lose. You can't lose if you apply your hard work ethic to this model. You just cannot lose.
It's 100% accurate. And when you think about it, what you talked about with the digital gold rush, I think that is a great way of saying the opportunity to make money online, period, right? Any form of online business and revenue would be like this digital gold rush. But I think that with Enagic, you're in this very, very specific microcosm of this perfect combination of solving the biggest problems that people have. Because when you look at it, health is obviously the number one most important asset everybody has. Without that, everything else is pointless and irrelevant. If you lose your health or you lose your life, you're useless to your wife, you're useless to your kids, you're done, it's game over. So health has to be first, and the water is the biggest component to health. So now we could have people talking about vegan this, or carnivore diet this, or keto this, or any type of sort of combination of what people think is the right way of eating. And you're never going to hear somebody say, oh, this diet doesn't include water. This one, you don't need water for this one. It's never going to happen. So we have the underlying foundational piece where it doesn't matter if you're raw, vegan, whatever, or a carnivore, like eat raw meat, like straight off the bone. You still need water. This still applies to you. So there's that. Then there's the financial piece. Of course, without money, it's very hard to get by in this world, especially if you don't want to live in like off the land and stuff, which some people are into that. Personally, I'm not really into that. But whatever that, you need the money piece. Then you have the quality of time, the freedom piece. Now, if you don't have quality time with your relationships, your spouse, what kind of life is that? Like, what kind of quality of life are you going to have with your family and your kids and all that? So you actually are checking off every single major pillar, combining that with the patented technology that has been around for 50 years that is literally not even in momentum yet. And then when you realize that the way to get the gold rush, or to get your piece of this pie, is by becoming the best man that you can be every single day and hold yourself accountable to a high standard, what better like, if you think about it, what would be more important than that? If you actually think about it, what else could possibly be more of a priority for you or any of us than to become the best version of ourselves day after day? I can't think of anything else that's better. So you literally, when you understand the dynamics, like you said, you cannot lose because you have the recipe for success. But the thing that a lot of people miss is that they don't have enough urgency. They're not trying to get results and build the momentum. And the thing about urgency, guys, is you have to do something that's outside of the average expectation. Like you, Jordan, you're the fastest 6A in Australia in 4 months. That's not average. That's top echelon. Now you can literally have that on your track record for the rest of your life, share that story with all the new people joining your brotherhood and your team, and be like, beat me. Show me you can get there quicker than me, because I went all in and I did it in 4 months. So why are you taking your sweet ass fucking time? So now you're above average, which gets you the praise, the recognition, and the standout thing. And then you get noticed, you get put on the map, and all these things start opening up for you. Nobody rewards average, right? Even Mr. Oshiro, he messages me through his translator asking about people in my business who are above average. Everyone else, he doesn't even know you exist. Interesting. Does that make sense? So all of a sudden, if I'll share this with you guys right here. If you're not doing 100 grand a month in this business, you're not even trying. Because the high ticket commissions, you need maybe 10 direct sales in a month to do 100K months. Anything below 100K month, you're just too comfortable with a small life. 100K month with a high ticket business like Enagic with trifectas and quads and all this kind of stuff should be the baseline of standards in the brotherhood and in this expectation, leading yourself first and foremost in that, right? Imagine having a community where not only do you provide the training, the camaraderie, the accountability, and all the aspects of the community that you guys have and the brotherhood that you have, but it is expected of you to hit 100K months in your first year. And that's the baseline. And if you're not doing that, you don't belong here, man, because you're not holding the standard that we set, right? Same thing with like a 6-pack. You don't have a 6-pack, we know that you're eating fucking donuts and takeout in the closet, and you're not even trying. These are the standards that you can uphold when you lead from the front. And then what happens is you get the momentum and you get the duplication, and you start having guys like James, 18-year-olds, and these guys that you guys have connected with, 18 years old, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't fuck around, got a great head on his shoulders, 100K months, first year. Watch what happens to a guy like that who set the bar at that age, and he's now talking shit to all the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, calling them out because he can. Right? He can literally say, you're this and you're that because I'm not. So I can say it, and he can speak his truth because he's holding it up on his end. And that's what all of you guys can create, is like the more in alignment you are with the truth and getting yourself dialed in, the more transparent, authentically, and honestly you can speak to men online and hit them right in that sweet spot where it triggers them. And then that is the beginning of their transformation. You know what I mean?
Oh, I fucking love that. That is every bit of our language and more, brother. And that's what we're here to change the face of men's health globally, because
100%.
men don't just need health. It's not good enough just to be healthy. You
No.
need the wealth piece, because too many families are being decimated. You know, fathers are missing out on their kids grow up because they're slaving for a shitty wage, or, you know, it's just not happening with where the economy's at. So we need this piece. It's the health, the wealth, and you're not just making money with, you know, no purpose. It's actually a true purpose behind this, true impact globally. That's where that purpose piece ties in, the health, wealth, and purpose. I'm so excited for the future.
Yeah, brother, that's exactly it. And I'll share a little bit of a personal you know, side to my story, and then I'll share these slides and these numbers with you guys, because I know that men, especially men, you know, we really get excited about results and numbers and possibilities and seeing what's in your guys' future. So for me, when I got together with my wife now, I dated her in high school. I cheated on her. I fucked up, but I was like 15 or something. Then I went on my own, whatever, you know, was trying to find another girlfriend, and like being a young dude, partying and, you know, meeting chicks and all this kind of stuff. And she was the first one that ever told me she believed in me in grade 10 in high school, and wrote it in my yearbook that I still have to this day, which is literally the most prized possession that I have, because it's like that authentic, like she saw something in me when I look like Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. So I don't even know what the fuck she saw. But anyways, it was kind of hilarious. And then we went our own separate ways. And my first mentor introduced me to the book, The Secret. And, you know, he started teaching me about the law of attraction and manifestation, and getting very clear on like what it is that you want. And so after I manifested my first roommate and apartment, that I made a list of all the requests that I had from God or the universe through law of attraction. It was like 20th floor or higher, you know, stainless steel appliances, floor to ceiling windows. Like I was trying to think of all the coolest shit that I could have, you know, with a roommate as my first place moving out from home. I made this list, and then I logged on to Facebook, and this guy that was an acquaintance of mine that I didn't even know, literally when I logged on to fucking Facebook in the news feed, he had a post looking for a roommate. And I barely knew the guy, but it was like a friend of a friend. So I hit him up. I go, hey, dude, you're not going to believe this. I just made this long list of me trying to find an apartment with a roommate because I got to move out from home. You know, just curious. Can I ask you a couple questions? Maybe we can meet up. He's like, yeah, come by the house. Sends me his address, 22nd floor. And the thing on my paper said, got to be higher than the 20th floor. And I go, no fucking way. Are you kidding me? So anyways, long story short, I went and met up with him, all this stuff. And then I did this again with my looking for a girlfriend. And I wrote down all these character traits from how she looks to her personality to, you know, being a mother and a wife, and as much stuff I could think about her personality. And it was like a few pages long. And then I got to the end and I'm like, fuck, that's like the grown up Margaret of the girl I cheated on in high school. Like, I fucked up so bad. It's like the one girl I can't have because she fucking hates me. So long story short, I'm like, I got to redo the exercise, maybe find somebody who's close or similar, whatever. And then I ran into her at a Dead concert. We were both on a little bit of MDMA, and it was kind of like the love drug, right? So our guard was down, and she would have probably slapped me or kicked me in the balls or something if she was sober. But because of that whole dynamic, we're like, hey, you know, lovey-dovey and shit. We danced the night away and we got back together. So anyways, where was I going with the story? Oh yeah. So then we got together. I committed to her, loyal. I was like, I had to dig myself out of this deep hole. She didn't trust me and from our past. And I just kept showing up as like the guy that I always knew that I wanted to become as a man and so on as I matured. And all of a sudden we're about to turn 30 and she's like, I'm ready to start a family. And I want to have kids. And actually, no, I'm sorry. It was 27. She was ready to have kids. And I said, I'm not ready because if we have kids now, I won't be in the kids' lives. I will be absent. I will be trying to create income to provide. I'm going to miss those moments. And I didn't have that with my father when I was a kid. And I need to make sure that when we have kids, we're both equally present. And I need a little bit of a runway to make this happen. And she goes, okay, let's make a deal. So we made a deal, 3 years. And at the time, I was a 6A in the business. And I knew that in order for me to truly feel at peace, I would have to be a 6A2-3 to feel like I can actually take time off and not sacrifice the money coming in and fully be present. 30 years old, which was 3 years later, I hit 6A2-3. That was the same year we bought our house, the one I was talking about earlier. And it all went boom, 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 boom. But then we couldn't get pregnant. And it was a long ordeal. And we didn't get pregnant until 35. 5 years after we were both ready to be parents. Business kept growing, -4, then multiple positions, -3, -5, and income kept growing. And now it was like super abundant, way more than we would ever need to just be present parents. But, you know, it kept growing and all that good stuff. Then my daughter was born at age, when I was 35 years old, 4 years ago. And I was like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like literally, like this was the goal for 7 years, to be present, hold my daughter in my arms and not have to be anywhere, not have to do anything, no calls, no sales, no directs, nothing. I could just do zero. And it was the greatest achievement by far. My daughter literally slept in my arms for 2-3 hours a day. I just be like in her nursery, you know, spending that quality time, helping my wife at night, no stress. And the thing that was really crazy, dude, is the first time that the check keeps hitting the account every 30 days and you know that you're doing zero work is the craziest feeling as a man, as a husband, as a father you'll ever have in your life. It is fucking wild. Like, I'm so checked out. I'm not thinking anything work. It's like all the chaos of being a parent, you know, as it goes, it's up and down roller coaster and it's pretty full on. And then boom, -3 bonus hits the account. Well over 100 grand a month. What? So grateful. Thank you. Say my prayer, say my gratitude. Just can't even fucking believe it. Next month again. Next month again. Quarterly bonus again. Every 90 days. Boom, boom, boom. Millions of dollars a year coming in on autopilot. Couldn't believe it. 18 months after my daughter was born, I was doing a coaching call for my mentorship program, my Diamond Life program, and my wife had to go get her hair done. And our schedule kind of had a little mishap. And normally when I did my call, my daughter was with my wife. She's 18 months old, needs a lot of attention, all that stuff. And this day, my wife's like, oh, I know your call is today, but my hairdresser has to get me in today. And should I just cancel my hair appointment and I'll just take care of Valentina? I'm like, no. Like, I know this is super important to you. Like, go get your hair done. I'll manage with my daughter. For the first time in her life, she's going to see daddy working in his, like, you know, his zone of genius, like what he really loves to do. So she comes in here, she sits on my lap. I have it recorded because obviously I record all my coaching calls and Zoom calls or whatever. So I have it recorded. It's one of the most beautiful moments. And I'm looking at the camera. She's sitting on my lap. You can literally see her head like right here. And she's looking up at daddy from here, trying to look at my face, just seeing me kind of like with a different voice, you know, more like a grown-up man voice instead of like the baby talking shit that I do with her. And then and I just looked down at her and made eye contact, and it was like the Big Bang, bro. It was just like the cosmos colliding with the stars, and this fire within just exploded. And I knew that I had to be in my purpose in front of my kids, even though I don't need to. And that was the moment I'm like, I got to come back to GPM. I got to come back to Enagic. I got to go all in on helping you guys and your people and the people that are not in the community yet have the same experience that I'm now living every single day. I cannot stop here because I'm good. I need to keep going because all of you are not good yet. And I got to keep leading and serving and showing up as an example of what's possible and being back. And that was the 18 months break. I didn't know how long it was going to last. Boom. So then now my son was born on October 19th. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. I was like, well, maybe I'll take a little bit of time. I'm not sure how long. And it's a little bit of a different energy with my son. It's like I'm instantly in this warrior energy of like, no, daddy doesn't put the sword down. Like daddy doesn't put the shield down. Like we're still in battle. We're still going back. It's a very different energy. And meanwhile, my daughter is still witnessing everything, right? She witnesses me train every day. She witnesses how I treat her mother, my wife, and how I eat and how I cook for her. So I'm in this, I know there's this front row seat. All of us that are fathers, we have this front row seat where our kids see the truth. Doesn't matter who you think you are. They know who you actually are. Does this make sense for you guys? They know whether you're drinking your gallon of Kangen water every day or not. And a lot of you are full of shit and you're not drinking enough of the stuff that you have on your counter. A lot of you aren't eating clean. You know, a lot of you guys are having those vices and they see that stuff. And so for me, the ultimate truth was even more than my wife, which is still, you know, I hold her in the highest regard regarding, you know, being my best self. But man, your kids just being hyper aware and watching everything and learning from you has been the ultimate game changer for me. So my daughter's birthday is November 4th. And we get paid the monthly and quarterly bonuses at the end of the month. In Australia, you guys always get it on the 25th or the last day of the month or something because it's direct deposit. In Canada and the US, we get checks. And so from the time that they mail the check to it going to this mail service that I send my checks to, because I don't want to, you know, take the checks to the bank. Who's got time for that shit? So send to this mail service, they deposit it for me. And November 4th, her 4th birthday, we had this like nice, you guys can see it on my Instagram. I made a little video of her ballerina theme party, whatever. That morning, I woke up and checked this email that comes through, and all of my monthly and quarterly bonuses dropped in on my daughter's 4th birthday in the morning. And you guys want to know how much it was? Will that inspire you? I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm literally just trying to inspire you guys. That's the only reason.
Absolutely.
Bring it on.
It was $348,000.
That's USD.
No, it's Canadian. Convert it to Canadian. Yeah. It was like 258,000 US or something.
Whew.
And I didn't do a single thing of work since October 1st, like preparing for my son to be born. So it was roughly a month again of zero anything. So when you think about the money, it's one thing to be actively building the business, building the brand, posting content, sales calls, webinars, all that stuff, which I actually love to do. So I'm not talking shit about it. But when you literally have zero obligation and nothing in your business changes, it continues to grow and improve and get better and numbers keep climbing. When there was literally zero effort in that particular month, it feels like you got $10 million. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a crazy feeling. And then where it gets even cooler is logging into the Facebook group and GPM base and these communities where people are hitting 6A, 6A2, having $100,000 months, quitting their jobs. You know, seeing that ripple effect and that impact means even more to me than the money that I receive from my family. Because the money that we receive is in direct proportion to the impact we have. And so when you think about it, in order to create residual income, you need to have residual impact. The residual impact is the paying it forward, becoming your best self and giving that self to the world. Then giving the next brother a permission to become their best self and giving it to the world. And we keep paying this forward with this business model that actually supports the quantum leverage growth. And so I had $20 million in sales happen in my organization, and I personally submitted $0 in sales with direct sales that month. But it doesn't matter because I have people that I've trained, that I've coached, that I've developed, that I've talked to their people, that I've done webinars like this. And even just this call right now, I'm not sure what message you needed to hear or didn't hear each person individually on this call, but there will be a ripple effect from this call. And when I meet you guys in June, for the first time, a lot of you at the convention, I hope to hear some version of a positive story of like, hey, brother, since that call, this is the results I created. I stepped my shit up. I'm in better shape. I'm making more money. I hit this level. I'm a 6A, whatever. Can you imagine the power of that from a 2-hour hangout session, online? Like, are you serious? It's truly fascinating what's possible here. So anyways, before I keep going forever, let me show you these slides.
Probably some of the biggest numbers that I love, Balazs, and I'm also all about helping people, is I know it took you 11 months to 6A, but now you're having like 2 6As pop in your team every single day. And so we'll be able to run through the numbers, actually how many 6As you have in your team, how many 6A2s, -2s, -3s, -4s, because that is, real leadership to be able to, help those people hit those ranks.
And that's what I meant earlier about investing in your people, because imagine when we have the analogy of parenting, okay? When we decide to have a kid and start a family, it's a lifelong commitment, right? It's not like this. Imagine having a version of being a parent that is equivalent to a get rich quick scheme, right? It's like, so I'm gonna have a kid quick and like quickly raise them up and then just get them out of the house, like be done with it. Nope. Slow, steady commitment, whether it's hard, whether you have the screaming moments and the parts where you're like questioning your sanity, is very similar to business. Have you guys all had those moments? If you have children that feel exactly the same when you're trying to figure out how to launch an ad and you're pulling out your hair and you can't figure it out and it's like so stressful. That feeling is very identical to having a newborn baby for those of you that are already dads. So when we think about, can we give up and quit on parenting or being a father, I know some people do, and small percentage, whether it's adoption or suicide or whatever, right? I'm not really talking about that. But for the majority of people, they're willing to stick through it regardless, ups and downs, challenges, and all the developmental things and all the different milestones. And there's a beauty in it, right? Because right when you think you can't handle anymore, you have the most special bonding connection and unconditional love moment that almost like heals your soul back to like, I can endure this again and again. And it's really fascinating how that works. My son will scream at me for an hour straight, and I'm just staying calm, cool, and collected, and understanding that he doesn't know any different or any better. And then all of a sudden he'll just kind of melt in my arms and have this cuddle, and it's all worth it again. It's the same thing in business. It's like you might be stuck in trying to do all this stuff, and then you have a little breakthrough or you learn something new. If you have that same mentality to your business as you do to your kids and your dedication and devotion to your family, you will win. You will succeed. If there's no other options, like, you can't trade in your kid and be like, I want a different kid. No, that's your child. Does that make sense? But that's what people do with businesses. It gets a little hard and they go, oh, well, this business is too hard. I'm going to trade it in for this other thing and this other thing and this other thing. No, you don't do that. You make the most with the one you have. And that's how I've approached my Magic business. So anyways, I'm going to show you guys the numbers. So I've invested in my people until they were self-sufficient, until they could present and close without my help. And so I had very much an apprenticeship mentality. So someone would come in my business. If you guys adopt the same mentality with your people, your directs, it's not about the direct sales commission and then on to the next person and on to the next person. It's no, how do I help this person create success? How do I help teach them what they need to know? And we have tools and communities and videos and trainings and all that great stuff. But you still need to be invested in them, protecting them from the naysayers and the haters and the doubters, and speaking greatness into them and believing in them before they believe in themselves. You got to be that person, because they're going to feel alone in this project. They're going to feel alone in this business. They're going to feel alone in their families at the holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas. They're going to feel like an outcast because they're taking on this vision and this dream that most people don't believe is possible. So you got to constantly remind them, yes, you can. I can show you the way, so on and so on. And then one day when you offer assistance or support or help, they basically say, Balazs, thank you, but I'm good. I got this. And that is when that person has graduated out from under your direct apprenticeship. The same way when one day your kids say, Daddy, I'm going to college, I'm moving out, I'm good, don't worry about me. And it's like the scariest day of a parent's life. It's kind of like similar to that. But then instead of like having more kids and more kids and more kids, which some people do, you just bring on the next business partner and develop them. So over my career, I have less than 100 direct sales, and I have 379,000 in my organization. That's because I wasn't going for quantity. I was going for quality, and I was going for relationships, and I was working closely with people. So if you have that servant-based leadership mentality, I promise you everything in your business will eventually work out. All right, hold on a sec. Can you guys see this now?
Yes.
Guys, see, this is a fucking breakthrough. I overcame this bullshit technology issue I had, and we got the slides. So this is a very, very exciting moment for me. I'm just kidding.
Every man.
Sometimes
every
it's the
man
small
can
wins, right? We're like, yeah. Okay.
Every man
So-
can relate, Balazs.
Check this shit out right here. 2013, 80 sales in my business. That's total sales. End of 2014, 325. And you can see the numbers grow. And the most important number on here is when you actually see this gray line, that's the exponential growth curve. And you can add this to any spreadsheet graph that you guys have as well. Okay. So this is showing you the exponential growth curve. And I understood from a business standpoint that I needed to make my sales come through here and wait and wait and wait and trust the process until this moment where this blue line crossed through the gray line and was on the other side of the exponential growth curve. And I hit 682-3 in 2016. And so even though a lot of people think you're not free until -3, it's not fully the truth. You're not free until your exponential growth surpasses the exponential growth curve. Then you have momentum that cannot be stopped. That is the real truth. So it took me 5 years from 2013 to 2018 until this broke through. And then I had to make sure and monitor that the numbers continue to stay on this side. And then I know that nothing is wrong. And now we're at 370 something thousand. This isn't fully updated yet. So this blue dot is actually still on this side of the gray exponential growth curve, and we're growing rapidly. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you guys. Now, in terms of the sales numbers, you can see here that these are the monthly revenue numbers in all the different currencies, because that's how Enagic shows you after you are 682 in your back office. And it's a little bit hard to decipher, like, what does that actually mean? So my brother created this like chart in US dollars to convert it all. And so you can see at the very bottom here, 17 million in January, 19 million, 19 million, 20 million, 30 million in May. And that was leading up to the global convention. So there was a really big boost in numbers. Everybody, trying to get on stage and hit 6A and high levels. So we had a pretty huge jump, 50% jump. There was also a global price increase that happened around this time. So it was pretty badass. And that was my biggest month that I've had so far in my journey with Enagic, was the May numbers. I think it was around 250,000 US for the month. Remember, I said my quarterly was that. So it was quite a big jump that month, which is incredible. And then we went tapered down a bit, 24, 17, 19, 20. And then there's somebody in my organization in my downline who hit -6. And so I don't fully see the same reporting anymore. Unfortunately, Enagic has it separated when someone's on the same level as you. So now I have to ask Enagic corporate to tell me how much sales they had. So they send me a text message to update me. So this spreadsheet doesn't really make sense as much anymore, but they've told me that in August and September, it was 10 million from that part of my business, and then another 10 million from the other part of my organization that's not under that -6 person. So we're doing right around 20 million, 8,000 units plus a month. But unfortunately, I was -6 for, I mean, I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's actually very fortunate that I have a -6 on my downline. But the reporting kind of sucks. I don't have the full transparency. So when we add up 20 million, 20 million, 20 million, that's another 60-ish million. So we're right around 250 million USD for 2024. And what's really interesting about tracking these numbers is that I called this, if you guys follow me on Facebook and Instagram, last year or January of this year, I should say, I made a post on my Facebook that said total cumulative sales for 2023 was 168 million, directly reported from Enagic. And I track the numbers here. Oops, hold on. I track the numbers here like this. So this is October's numbers, and I haven't updated November yet because I do it on the last day of the month. But it shows here the month-over-month growth in percentages. So on average, all of these percentages over here, it usually shows like 2.5% month over month. So I simply did the calculation. Okay, what does that turn into annual growth? And it told me, and it said projected for 2024, 245 million, the beginning of this year, based on 2.5% month over month growth. And we're actually going to be within 5-6 million of that. So now I'm going to calculate it again at the end of this year, and it's going to tell me, and we're going to jump again. And because we're doing roughly $20 million a month in sales, and we're at 879 million total cumulative sales, right around Global Convention in San Diego, 51st anniversary, we're going to hit $1 billion in sales in GPM. And 700 million of that got paid out to the community. Isn't that fucking wild? And so when we divide the $1 billion in sales by the 12 years that I've been in the business, you can see that that exponential growth curve that happened in year 5, it starts to pay you in hindsight of your effort. I need you to really understand this. You're going to be doing ads, web classes, sales calls, all this stuff, and not be compensated that much money. But 5, 6, 7 years from today, you might have a baby. You might have a reason to take a little bit of a time off and receive $350,000 in your bank account when you're not working. If I take that $350,000 and actually give it to the Balazs of 10 years ago, that's when the work was done, but I wasn't being paid for it then. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it really takes a mental adjustment to feel worthy of receiving a large sum of money month after month after month when your direct output of energy and effort is not in alignment today, but you know that you earned it from the past. And that's really important, or else you can self-sabotage, you can gamble, you can make poor choices, you can self-destruct with that type of income. Imagine if I didn't have a good head on my shoulders, what you can do with 350 grand. I could do some really, really fun, cool, and very dumb things in a very fast moment. But that's where the personal growth and development comes from. All right, now I'm going to show you guys my genealogy because Dan asked for it. I wanted to show you guys here so you actually see the real deal. So do you see the numbers in the, I know it's really small. I got to zoom in. Hold on a second. Let me try to figure this out. Can you guys see that now?
Yeah, it's only still pretty small,
Okay,
but we did get a sneaky look on your last sales page. You actually could see the amount of 6As you had and
Yeah. I just
602-2.
wanted to show you guys here. So 1A is 295,522. 2A is 26,436. 3A is 4,457. 4A is 4,584. 5A is 11,000 or 1,150. 6A is a little bit weird because I actually have two 6As for some reason. So there's 60 over here and there's 1730 over here. So it's actually 1790, which is fucking insane. I remember when Romy, our upline, who's going to go -8 when we all together go -7. I remember asking him at like a convention in 2014 or 2015, like super long time ago, how many 6As he had in his business. And he told me over 1,000. I couldn't freaking believe it. I had like 3 at the time. And I was like, what? You have how many? 1,000? What? Look at this. We're getting very close to 2,000. It's pretty next level. 682, 435, and you get the idea. But yes, it actually shows better here. So these are outdated based on a month ago. But yeah, you can see here we have 2 people that are 682-6, 7 that are -5, 13-4, 55-3, 161-2, 479, 682. And what's really exciting about this, guys, once you're in the game long enough and you understand how this business works long enough, is you can actually see the people that are, going to level up soon. So just imagine that the 4As never gave up. How many, all these 4As could become 6As? If all these 4As never gave up, we would have over 5,000 6As. The problem is a lot of them give up. They give up because their expectations are not on point. They're expecting that at 4A, they take their foot off the gas and their team's going to keep growing and duplicating. And that's not the truth. You got to keep your foot on the gas. You got to keep going, because the actual important number is the one that we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's this. It's crossing through the exponential growth curve, which can happen at a very different amount of time for everybody. It might happen for you in 10 years and it just happened for me at 5. It varies, but that's truly the freedom moment, is this crossing over here. So anyways, that's all of that I wanted to show you guys. And then, yeah, in terms of the numbers, yeah, we're basically doing whatever that works out to be, like $60-ish million a quarter. And it's just warming up, right? We're going into a momentum in this business model with hydrogen-rich water, ionized water, the side hustle being a necessity to basically pay people's bills, to have any sort of quality of life. You need to be making 250 grand a year or more to be able to travel, have fun, to not do like the bare bones stuff, like if you want to go international, if you want to fly, stay nice places, do stuff, like you need to make some serious paper to be able to afford that stuff. Otherwise, it's just kind of like you're living a smaller life than you could if you just raised your standards on yourself and what you demand and expect from yourself in this business. And no matter what age you are right now, you have people that are in a similar demographic to you, that if you start speaking truth directly to them, whether they're retirement age, college age, no kids, with kids, young kids, old kids, empty nesters, not, if you start becoming the best version of you based on the demographic that you're currently in, and then start calling people forward with the truth in your demographic, your business will blow up. That's the truth. So just be your best self and then call people forward, and you will fly in this business because it checks off all the boxes. Anything else you want me to cover, Dan?
No, Epic, brother. We're just so grateful to you be leading the way, being our mentor for Danny and I over the last 6 years. Just as we kind of wrap up the call, I know that you'd love to, obviously set goals, and San Diego is going to be a big one, going -7. But, the ripple effect right through the team, that's going to, help, Romy go -8, the very first -8 within the Magic. He'll have his first, obviously $1 million month. Can you just touch on just, his mindset and the way that he got started in the business, and the way that he's now being able to give back is something, when I heard his story, what he's been able to do, within the Magic, and now what he uses his income for.
Yeah, it's the best part. I mean, for myself, I have so many goals of giving back. I've done so much of that stuff privately. I don't really share too much about it, but Romy's a huge inspiration to me. You know, he's really the one who basically showed me that philanthropy aspect of what an Enagic can do, along with Mr. Oshiro, who's got the biggest heart of gold. Everything he does is for his distributors. You know, he's investing further and further into the EAPA Foundation. He's buying real estate and hotels and properties and farms, and you know, adding new products like the M Guard, and he's really trying to grow this company after 50 years, when he could sit back and basically chill as an 84-year-old guy. He's actually more motivated and more inspired and traveling and full of life, and just loves to see what's happening with Enagic. So he definitely is like the ultimate role model and example for all of us, Mr. Oshiro. He's one of my favorite people in the world, and I've got a lot of time to spend with him in the recent years, since I've been a top leader and being invited to hang out with him and stuff. It's been really cool to see his heart and his compassion, and really truly, he's not talk. He really does embody and exemplify that leadership, and leads by example, even as a CEO of the company, which is really, really cool. And he's technically the first -8, but he just doesn't talk about it. But yeah, Romy will be the second -8 officially in the compensation plan. And yeah, Romy loves to give back. He's a simple man. You know, he keeps things. He's the guy that's like, chop wood, carry water, chop wood, carry water. He's like that guy. And he's already been in the network marketing space well over 20 years before he found Enagic. And he went through so many different things that he had experienced. And when he found this, he knew it was the real deal. He knew it was the truth. And he's been with the company now for over 20 years, which is really exciting. But yeah, he's donated to churches. He's built churches. He's put a lot of his extended family through college and university in the Philippines. He's done a lot of philanthropy and giving back in tons of ways. He actually supports some family members with like monthly income, just for them to not have to work, and really gives back, because I guess a dollar goes extra far in certain parts of the world, and Philippines is one of those areas where you know, you're not living a first world country lifestyle. So he is able to help even more with the overall quantity that he shares. And obviously, like, most of Enagic sales are in his organization. So if we're doing 8,000, he's probably doing 15, 17,000 units a month. So whatever numbers I'm producing, he's producing at least double that, which is really, really cool. Yeah, he was 50 when he found Enagic. It's, you know, it's never too late. Some people find it young and early, and some people find it later. But no matter what, your vision and your mission has to be based upon your own life story, right? And if you're trying to share this the same way that younger people do when you're not at that same age, it's not going to work. You got to speak from that different angle and give people a permission to see this opportunity for what it truly stands for. And also, if you have kids or grandkids, you know, you could really put a lot of effort in towards legacy and passing that torch forward to future generations, and they can carry that. You know, my daughter's already saying some of the cutest things around. If you were at the global convention in Japan, she literally on stage with the microphone said, "Change your water, change your life." And it was one of the most special moments, because it was unrehearsed. We didn't plan it. She didn't say she was going to say anything. She just tapped me on the shoulder and, you know, wanted to say it. And it was really powerful. But yeah, it really rubs off on our kids and our kids of what's possible here. And that's what is so exciting, right? Like, if you become the best version of yourself and you're building a legacy business with a product that every human being needs and will continue to need, including money and freedom and lifestyle and purpose and all these pieces, there's never a reason to stray from this and be distracted from this and to prioritize something different than being the best you. And as long as you can keep that your North Star, you will eventually get everything you've ever desired and help other people do the same thing. And that's what's so special and unique about this company. And Romy's living proof of that. I think he's got like 6 or 7 grandkids, and he's a full-time grandpa and travels the world with his wife. And they've been together like their whole lives, I think like 40 years married, and all the ups and downs. And that's the role model that you want to have, right? You don't want to have the guy who sleeps around and has all these chicks and like lives this crazy wild lifestyle, because that's not really something that is sustainable, and it's also not like the real true meaning of what life should be about, right? It's kind of like the the shiny object syndrome of success, right? Romy and Mr. Shearer are both that exemplary man, father, leader that that has really set the pace for all of us. And I try my best to kind of lead in those same footsteps and pass that forward to all of you. And you guys do the same thing. And then we're going to have a company that's going to stick around here long term.
Thank you so much, brother. We are absolutely excited and fired up like never before to be able to, lift, the standards in all areas in, entrepreneurship, leadership, being a father, a brother, and, taking this business to be able to help and support more men than ever before. So thank you so much.
I love it.
Time,
so proud of you guys. Keep crushing it. Make sure you send me a message on Instagram, connect with me there. And, yeah, I can't wait to meet all of you. Make sure that you show up to the global convention and really set the bar for yourself. Like maybe we could set a challenge for everybody who was on this call that we can hold each other accountable to. Like, for example, getting in the best shape of your life between now and convention, or having your first $100,000 month, or hitting 6A or above by convention. These types of targets I think would be really cool if you made that commitment today, if you haven't already made it. And then when we meet in person, you'd be like, I did it, man. Had a 100K month, check out the 6-pack, so happy, quit the job, traveling the world. And here we are walking across stage, celebrating the new achievements as a team and as a brotherhood and as a family. So, Dan, think of some goals and some targets. And Jordan says 100 quads by convention. I love that, man. That's so powerful. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see you guys and celebrate.
Yeah, so we're going to set the bar high. Jordan's brotherhood, they're only getting started with quad, so quad is a standard to be able to get started. But if you're on this call and you want some more information, reach out to the person that invited you onto this call. We're going to be helping more brothers, more men be able to spend more time with their families, have more freedom and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you so much, Balazs. Really appreciate you for giving your time. Say thank you to Margaret, Valentina and Atlas as well, because your time is very valuable and you've given it to us today. And we're just going to go out there and absolutely crush this, make the rest of our life the best of our life, and let's go, man. Let's get it.
Amazing. All right. Much love to you guys. Appreciate you. I believe in you. Don't stop. I'll see you at the top, guys. Take care.
Thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, legend.